Because Spice is a way for anyone to invest in index funds, but it's all on chain. And you can have different index funds. You see, it's kind of like ETFs. It's a way of constructing ETFs on chain, where you have a DAO deciding which ETFs, but it's not an ETF. I don't know if we should call them ETF because it is not an ETF. It's basically that as a DAO, decentralized organization, we can come together in Spice DAO and we can decide which assets we want to have in our fund. And then people can just buy the token of the fund. The token just represents a portion of ownership in the smart contract that holds all the assets. And what it does is, number one, it reduces fees, because let's say you have 100 assets in your portfolio and you want to keep, 1% for each asset. You want to balance your portfolio so that you have 100 assets and one asset is always 1% of the portfolio. Well, what happens if one asset does a 10x? Now you see it's not balanced. You need to rebalance. You need to sell a bit of that asset that mooned, and you need to buy the proportional amount of all other assets, so that each asset is still 1% of the portfolio. Now, if you have 100 assets, of course, that's going to be 100 different transactions. And imagine the fees. You're going to get absolutely destroyed by the fees. Instead, if you have just a token that represents ownership in a basket of funds, you just need to rebalance that basket, and then everyone's portfolio is rebalanced. I mean, this is the power of doing something like this. Then you might have some strategy, but you don't want to execute it. Well, let the smart contract execute it, and you build this in the DAO, in the community. Outsource strategy. So basically, what do you do? I mean, what is actually your strategy? Also, the DAO can decide on that. So the heavy influx of new projects makes it all more difficult even for battle-hardened DeFi enthusiasts. Funds are a great way to follow a certain defined strategy or bank on expertise of others. So if you have people in the DAO that can contribute with knowledge, and you can have, for example, a fund, and when I say a fund, really, it is just a smart contract holding a bunch of different assets. But let's say the goal of that fund is to track the performance of all the new projects that release on Uniswap. So what do? You have the strategy, then you need execution. That smart contract actually needs to go out and buy that, and rebalancing. It will rebalance as well, how you say it. And so the way they structure it is that you basically have a governance token, and if you want to have a say in what they do, what this Spice they'll do, you have the governance token. So that's one way. And by the way, something else that is important that they explain here is that they have Sci-Fi, and I think one of the assets in Sci-Fi fund is their governance token. All right. Then they also have GBI. So the Galactic Blue Index, or GBI, is Spice DAO's second index product. Passive strategy index that represents blue chip projects. Okay, if you want blue chip projects from 7 of the cryptocurrencies most relevant verticals, then this thing will track it. Instead of buying all of the 7 coins and keeping all of the 7 coins, you just buy one coin, GBI. And GBI is basically your portion of the entire fund, and it's equal buying 7 of the assets that you want. And you can, by the way, you can see all assets on chain. This is the transparency. This is why Bernie Madoff hates blockchain. Okay. If you call him in prison, if you manage to do that, you ask him, what do you think about blockchain? He'll tell you, I hate blockchain, because it's transparent. It's impossible to do anything shady here. All assets are transparent. If you have a token in a fund that is on chain, you can just check it on blockchain. You can check, are the funds there? Do they actually make trades, or is it a pyramid? So that's a big shift. It's going to be like that in the future. So let's see, Sci-Fi is Spice DAO first index. It's 100% physically backed because everything is on chain. Represents small to mid cap tokens with high growth potential. So this is a bit more risk. This is a bit lower risk because it is blue chip. You can read more about tokenomics. So this is what I'm studying.